Kind Heaven went out and raised money and could raise money, and you're going to be doing an ICO. Is the ICO necessary, in addition to the fact that you've already raised a significant amount of money for this incredible project?
Yeah, so Kind Heaven is an immersive entertainment center in Las Vegas. It's across the street from Caesars. And when you walk into Kind Heaven, you're transported into Southeast Asia. There's several different bars and areas to eat food. You can discover new artists.
Shut up and take my money!
And the reason that Kind Heaven is perfect for an ICO is, number one, we're building an amazing community where you can use different tokens to process transactions. There's not many people building tangible physical properties to actually use the blockchain in person via a band. So you come in, you do a purchase, it's seamless, and you're walking through. The community aspect is going to be huge about that. The secondary aspect is kind of what Matt was talking about, which was every single artist inside of Kind Heaven, the token holder can benefit from their revenue via royalties. So instead of an artist kind of not being able to monetize their community, they now can directly monetize their community, and their community now can become their investor in their career. So for those two reasons, Kind Heaven was a perfect project for me. Yeah.
Frank, kind of the same question. The projects you're involved in, does it need that blockchain component, or can it stand as a business on its own?
I mean, it can stand on the business as its own, but really what we're talking about is, he brought up a point about, YouTubers having to monetize by merchandising. Well, the fact is that they still wouldn't have an audience without YouTube. YouTube is a distribution platform that's been able to transform who can get in front of an audience and how you can build an audience. The problem is that they're not in complete alignment with the creators themselves. So the best model for that kind of thing, in my estimation, in my opinion, is where you basically are, the creators themselves have a stake in the network. So this absolutely, I started this business before I knew how blockchain could fit into the picture. But at the very core of it was always this idea that the purpose of this business is to help these kind of creators monetize. So then how do you reverse engineer the best business for them? Right? And then when you do that, you understand, okay, well, they're already monetizing through informal marketplaces. Marketplaces are very powerful. We talked about Uber. We talked about Airbnb. These marketplace models are very, very powerful. So then then blockchain is basically the most powerful marketplace model you could possibly have. So you can have a dynamic, infinitely scalable amount of people who can contribute and derive value, monetary value, financial value directly from the network business. So for us, it just makes perfect sense. To me, this is the perfect business for the application of blockchain technology.
You're a goddamn genius.
Don't be shy, Ann. I won't stop you.
I totally agree with that. Absolutely. And now you're getting at purpose, right? And what's so interesting there is that well, not only do we get a trustless environment, and that's your word of big governments, but I won't go there right now. An environment where we don't have to have middle men. You actually have this moment where there are no gateways either, and that's all coming down. So who is the artist, and the tools that you're creating for an artist versus an audience, those are really merging, and they could be just equal, and then it's just who's the best person performing.
The one thing that I think will be the biggest asset within the blockchain is the community. The fans don't get enough monetization for all the content they provide to all these platforms that are huge.
Huge.
Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. You put up your content's now building their wealth. So within the crypto world, within ArtBit, the idea is anybody that puts up contents connected with an ArtBit performer is going to be able to monetize crypto and own their percentage of that community, if you will.
Secure your bag.
So they'll be able to monetize through their content providing and linking with said artist, right? And the branding through smart contracts, that can all be done with the data. And the other thing that's really interesting to me is what brands you want to affiliate with. On YouTube, you have no control of that. If you're a vegan, you still get a McDonald's commercial.
Oh, hell no.
If you don't eat meat, if you don't do certain kinds of things, within the smart contract, you can let the node, or if the community and the data know exactly what you're involved in and what you like and what you don't like, and that data can automatically transfer. So that said brand, for instance, could have an augmented reality piece of your product placement, if you will, and because the data is so thick, that through Hashgraph, which is such a fast, expedient way, there's a reason we chose them, be able to have those transactions 200,000 times faster.
Ludicrous speed.
So we're able to have, all that data and all that crypto move quickly. So that's the thing that excites me about the community. We forget about the fans. We're always looking at the artists. And then there's very few people that can get recognized through what's out there now. Like I said, little Hank Williams. And what happened with him? Now he got picked up by a major label. He got signed to Atlantic Records. And he has the #1 single at country music today. Why? Because he had the content that got recognized. Now, the same thing can happen within the art bit space. If you're creating, that artist said, with the community and the fans, you can actually invest in that artist with your tokens. Instead of equity, the artist feels better about it. And if there's a music share or a music sale or a license or even taken off the platform and you decide to go to the old school way of doing things, there's a payout. So that's really what I'm excited about, and the way that will work and how transparent that is. Because in the music business, my thing has always been about lawyers and audits and going after everybody to find out what happened to all the money.
You got my money?
Forensic accountants.
The producer gets this and this guy gets that. Now, within the blockchain, that could all be written in. And that's what I love about it.
So speaking about payouts, this is going to be one of the last questions I want to open up to the audience, so you guys have some time to ask some questions. We hear a lot about security tokens and fans and consumers being able to participate in the success of an artist's career. What safeguards are in place when you guys kind of move forward with these agendas? Lauren, you can probably answer this because you're doing film financing.
So in the film financing space, sort of your community becomes the most important part about what you're building. They're sort of your advanced team to making sure that the content that you create becomes watchable, usable, shareable, and exciting. The solutions and the technology behind it, we build in sort of safety mechanisms within that make it so that the creation of what we're doing is as accessible, and the data is important, so that then you use that data, like what you were saying, to build a bigger community, to find out exactly who's excited about a book or a script or a movie or an artist, and that whole loop just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The pain point of the process is going to be when studios realize that the data that we're having now as producers or as artists is now very, very visible. And I think a lot of them might not want that, because they're going to know that possibly behind the scenes there's a lot of stuff and a lot of fat that's hidden into budgets. And that's unfortunate, because that truth has to come out. And eventually your community, your artists, we're all going to band together, and it's going to be it will be a tidal wave that will create creativity and community in a way that we haven't seen before. And the legal regulations behind that will start to form around that groundswell. And that's what we're trying to do as producers or as artists or as technology developers. All of those things need to sit in the back of our minds as we are pushing forward the agendas of the companies that we're creating and the way that we want to put ourselves out there in the world.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Check this out, America.
We connect the streets.